Hello again, students. This is your flipped lesson for Storytown Vocabulary Lesson 13. For this lesson, you will need a pen or a pencil, and optionally, a highlighter. If you have lost your vocabulary sheet for this lesson, please check Miss Rule's website or Edmodo for another copy. Let's get started. Let's review the directions. First, watch and listen to this presentation on your own. Feel free to pause and go back as needed. Then, write the definition or meaning of each word on your vocab sheet. Finally, in the last column, write a brief response to each question that goes along with the vocabulary word. Let's get started with our first word. The first word is disoriented. Disoriented is an adjective or describing word in a sentence. The definition of disoriented is feeling lost or like you have lost your sense of direction. Let's listen to this word in a sentence. Sailors who get disoriented at sea might use the stars or the sun to figure out which direction they are going. Now think about this question. Why might a merry-go-round make you disoriented? Write your response on your vocab sheet. The next word on our list this week is haphazardly. We can tell that haphazardly is probably an adverb because many adverbs end with the ly suffix, and that's true in this case. Haphazardly is an adverb, which is a word that describes an adjective or a verb in the sentence. If you wanted to use haphazardly in its adjective form, you would drop the ly suffix. The definition of haphazardly is something that is not well organized or is not well planned or arranged. If I were going to use the word haphazardly in a sentence, I could say, if you throw the basketball haphazardly, it is not likely to go in the net. Why isn't it smart to put your socks in the sock drawer haphazardly? Write your idea on the vocab sheet. I hope you are looking at our next word and thinking to yourself that it looks familiar. The next word is imperative, which is an adjective or describing word in a sentence. We have seen the word imperative when we were talking about types of sentences back in Lesson 1 Grammar. Remember, an imperative sentence was some kind of sentence that gave a command or request. So let's look at the definition and see why those sentences were called imperative. The definition of imperative is something that must be done, no matter how difficult it is. If I were going to use the word imperative in a sentence, I might say, if you get a part in the play, rehearsing your lines is imperative so that you won't forget them. Now think about this question. Why is it imperative to visit your dentist regularly? Write your response on your vocab sheet. The next word this week is optimistic. The IC suffix at the end of optimistic tells us that this word is probably an adjective. And it is. Optimistic is a describing word. The definition of optimistic is feeling hopeful or positive about the future. To use this word in a sentence, you might say, an optimistic person sees the glass as half full, but a pessimistic person sees the glass as half empty. Why might an optimistic person do a good job of making his or her friend feel better? Think about your response and write it on your vocab sheet. Our next word is premonition. We see the T-I-O-N ending at the end of premonition, which tells us that this word is a noun. Premonition means a feeling that something is about to occur. You might get a premonition about something bad about to happen in a movie when the scary music starts to play. If you had a premonition that it was going to snow, what would you tell people to do? Write your response on your vocab sheet. The next word on our list this week is recede. Recede is used as a verb. Please take a look at the word recede as it ends with a silent E. If you are going to add the ing suffix, you will need to drop the silent E to make the word receding. The definition of recede is going back or further away from a previous position. In a sentence, I could say that I sometimes tease my brother for his receding hairline because his hair is starting to go back and make him look a little bit bald. Think about this question. If the water in your bathtub is receding, is that a good time to take a bath? Write your response on your vocab sheet. Our last word this week is remorse, and sometimes students have a hard time with this word. Remorse is a noun. If you wanted to use the word remorse as an adjective, you need to add the adjective suffix ful to make the word remorseful. Sometimes kids try to use this word as a verb also, but please don't make that mistake. Remorse is a noun. It replaces something like feeling. The definition of remorse is that feeling of guilt or regret about something. If I were going to use the word remorse in a sentence, I could say, I felt remorse when I left my favorite book in the hotel when I was on vacation. Think about this question. Why might you feel remorse as you take a test? Write your response on your vocab sheet. That's it. I hope you remember what's next. You'll go back to review any words you do not understand. Please highlight or circle words you still have questions about, and we will discuss them in class. Be ready to play a review game in class using these words. We will read and understand stories that use these vocabulary words in them. Finally, by the end of the week, you will use each word in an original sentence, and this will be your end-of-week quiz. Make sure you are completing your worksheet on time, and see you next week.